We've hit a spot in the season where the young tight ends are starting to rise up, get some notoriety, see more touches, see more snaps, and a lot of these guys are starting to become hot gets off the waiver wire. All week long, I've been talking tight ends in the You Need series, so you know what these guys are about, because we like to stream this position. We pick up tight ends, use them, drop them, pick up a new tight end. So we do need to know what these tight ends are about, considering they're stepping into much larger roles and we're playing the matchups with them. So these videos that we're doing on the tight ends are not just good for now, but good for all season long and possibly even next year. The tight end we're talking about today, Michael Mayer of the Raiders. Top tier prospect coming out of high school, top tier prospect coming out of college. He's starting to see more snaps, starting to see more touches. A very interesting tight end to monitor as we look at the news, the facts, and data, see whether or not you need him for fantasy football. But what you need to do is click that subscribe button right now, because we're doing these deep dives every day. We're covering the waiver wire. We're helping you set those lineups. We're helping you get those trades done and everything else. Click that subscribe button. Stop missing out. But let's go over Michael Mayer real quick. First things first, we do not have that much production in fantasy terms on the season with Michael Mayer. One game with over 12 fantasy points in Week 6 against the Patriots. But the one thing we want to note is the snaps are ramping up. In Week 5, he saw 66% of the snaps. Week 6, 81%. Week 7, 71%. He is starting to assert himself. He's starting to get that opportunity. He's starting to take advantage of those opportunities, because we're also seeing a ramp up in targets. 3, 6, 4. So 13 targets in 3 weeks. Not a crazy amount, but still a rookie starting to fill his oats a little bit. Starting to get some opportunity in this picture too. In his profile here in Sleeper. Kind of looks like Wreck-It Ralph. Add some points there if you're looking at him on the waiver wire. We got Wreck-It Ralph here at tight end. But looking forward here, again, looking at the targets ramping up. And this is another way to look at it on this chart from Rotoviz. 0, 1, 1, 0, then 3, 6, 4. So we're getting opportunities. Things are starting to mount up for him. Starting to get more snaps, more workload. So once we get in some plus matchups or later in the season, we might be firing on all cylinders, or a guy you can play the matchups with. And we got to go back to the high school recruiting days, because he was a top tier prospect, a 5-star guy. All the collegiate programs wanted him. He was a guy who was highly sought after and a player that was on the ups, just going into college. And we were just waiting for him to break out. And he did that instantly in 2020 for Notre Dame. He was showing up, had a good market share of the passing production. 450 yards is a lot in the Notre Dame offense back in 2020. Had 2 touchdowns and then ramped things up in 2021. Then he was already being talked about as a first-round prospect. Then he was talked about as a first-round prospect going into 2022. And in most of that 2022 season, if not all of it, into draft season. We're going to get why he fell in the second round later. But very productive. Yards after the catch wasn't there, but that's not really his game. He's a good separator. He's dependable at the catch points. He's a nuanced guy, very nuanced route runner for his size. A very dependable player when the ball's in the air. He's going to bring it in. He's going to be at his spot. He's going to create that separation. A good pass-catching tight end. Going to the draft day, fell to the second round when many were projecting him to be a middle of the first round talent. Fell to the second, but weighed in 6'5", 249 pounds. One of the reasons why he fell in the draft, the workout metrics. We were expecting him to be a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. The steam came out of that balloon on the combine. But still, when you retroactively look back at the numbers, more than fast enough to get the job done, more than fast enough to compete at the NFL level. And when you're skilled, you're nuanced, after a little bit of time of developing, you know what? You might be all right. Especially at the tight end position. We've seen some freaks come out in the athleticism department not hit when they probably should have, because they're running low 4.4s, low 4.5s with a lot of size on them. However, he's nuanced. He's been dependable. He's been a top-tier guy from high school to college to now. So let's see how he seasons. Let's see how he develops. and let's see what he can do. Give him some time. Overall, with tight ends, you want to give them some time because they usually take a couple years to develop, but now we're going to see some opportunity. The thing about this offense, though, you got Devontae Adams seeing 30% share of the targets. You got Jacoby Myers seeing almost the 30% share of the targets. That's almost 60% of the targets gone to those two players. That makes it hard for any of the other pass catchers in the offense to really step up and take over and be a fantasy producer. That's really going to hurt him. That's going to really prevent him from being consistent. That's going to really impact his ability to step it up in the numbers for fantasy football. Even if he's playing good, helping the Raiders win games, for fantasy football, if those two wide receivers are taking a 60% target share, some of the running backs are taking some of the targets, some of the ancillary wide receivers are getting some targets, another tight end's getting a couple targets here and there, Michael Mayer may not get enough workload for him to hit that upside. But then again, if that target share increases even more, say we get to 10, 11, 12%, we're in a plus matchup, then he might hit on you. And the numbers right now are just starting to ramp up. It's just the last 3 weeks. These are trends. This is a slower paced offense. We're only running 62 plays per game. Bottom third of the NFL. 38 pass plays per game. Usually middle of the roads, 40 pass plays per game. So again, we need more volume. We need these wide receivers not to take 60% of the targets. Michael Mayer does have some opportunity. Might be better for next year and the year after. However, we're watching the trends on this guy hard because if you start seeing even more snaps, even more targets, this is a player to look at. Plus, Garoppolo being back might target him some more. Might use him as an outlet. So really watch the trends because he could eat into these targets, start getting more production out of him, and start getting more opportunities. That's what we're going to want to see out of Michael Mayer. It's not a sure thing just yet, but the trends are saying, hey, we're starting to point up here. We're starting to develop. We're starting to gel. Look at Michael Mayer. Look at the schedule. We got some juicy games too. We're in the AFC West. We also got the Dolphins in there. We got some other games where we can capitalize in. So we should be in some shootouts here in the near future. That could allow him to eat. And again, tight ends, you play the matchups with. You pick one up, play your game, drop him, get the next one, play your game, drop him. Unless you got a top guy like Kelsey or Mark Andrews or somebody like that. But again, half the league is playing the matchups. This is a guy you may be playing the matchups with later down the road, week 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there, because the tight end position is so up and down that we just stream it. That being said, you need a tight end with upside. You need a tight end you're playing the matchups with. You need to know these tight ends. You need to know who they are. You need to know what they're doing. You need to know the trends when they're trending up. Maybe you want to get in a week early or what. But you need to know these tight ends. But you don't need them because you're good at tight end. You got one of the top guys. You feel good with what you got. You don't need more than one tight end. You should not be rostering more than 2 tight ends unless you're in like a tight end premium league or the points or the roster construction or the league is set up to where tight ends are overvalued or more valued in usual leagues. That being said, drop your second tight end, play flyers at running backs and wide receivers. That'll allow you to get more stashes. But a guy like Michael Mayer, if you're streaming tight ends, you're more likely going to be looking at him over the next few weeks, if not already. Think about Michael Mayer for the future because he's a player that's on the upswing right now when we're looking at snaps and targets, and that could amount to something. And I got to spread this news to you so you know about him. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now so you stop missing out on these deep dives. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.